What's up, everybody, and welcome to the SP and Bushy show. We are back after some vacations and some technical difficulties, and can't be more excited to be back. Bushy, how you feeling?
I'm doing really good right now. Yeah, back from vacation. I was in North Carolina last week, and yeah, I'll show you. I showed you a video. Well, don't worry, we'll post it on YouTube. What do you think? What do you think of the video? What do you think of my karaoke phenomenon?
You were definitely working the crowd really well, man. I gotta be honest. I mean, that's half the battle with karaoke. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily about karaoke ability all the time. Obviously, that's a good thing to have. But like I said, you definitely had the crowd, and I liked it. You were taking the skills on the road to North Carolina. That's almost like a gig at that point.
Exactly. Yeah, I was very, very excited for it as well. Yeah, the crowd. I was a little bit nervous at first because, again, I'm in kind of the Outer Banks area. So it really there were definitely as far as with the karaoke, there were a lot of country songs that were playing before me. I sang "Glory of Love" by Peter Cetera, so I was a little bit nervous that I don't know if this crowd was gonna enjoy, have all these country songs, and then here's me throwing the curveball with Glory of Love by Peter Cetera. But no, the crowd was into it. It was great. My performance was so good. I got free shots from strangers, really, because that's how good my performance was. They, I hope they remember it now, and maybe they were too drunk to remember or something like that. But it was great. I worked the crowd. It was great. My only regret, my brother told me this literally the day after. I think during the instrumental session I should have done the crane kick. That's my only regret. I should have done the crane kick. It just went full Karate Kid on that.
Yeah, that would have been a good move. Obviously, I mean, like I said, is the Peter Cetera, is that your go-to karaoke song?
No, I kind of decided. I was kind of on the fence of what I was going to sing before I got to the trip. I think once I got to the trip, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to sing Peter Cetera's "Glory and Love," and yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, really, I know I'm not the best singer in the world, and you'll hear it on YouTube, folks.
Mhm.
You'll hear it, but guess what? It was all about the showmanship for me. Really, I did. I worked that crowd. I'm glad you appreciated it, and yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it so much.
It looked like you were. It looked like you did. Now, how many drinks deep were you at that point?
Let's see here. I pre-gamed a little bit before we got to the Jolly Roger. That was the place that's the place we did karaoke at. And then yeah, I had a couple of vodka tonics in me beforehand as well before I sang. So yeah, I was probably about 4 or 5 drinks into that. So yeah, as you can see, and again, the difference too of the altitude, because we were at sea level there. I mean, I didn't really feel. I mean, it felt I was kind of drunk, but I really wasn't that. I really didn't felt that I was drunk.
Well, that's good. I mean, obviously, I mean, it's a fun performance. We're going to post it on social media. I'm not the best singer in the world, so I can't comment on your vocal abilities. That's my fiance. She's like the good singer of the group. So when we go karaoke, I do like the dumbest or most ridiculous song I can think of because I'm like one of those people that has no musical ability whatsoever. So
No, yeah, and I actually do come from a musical family. A lot, two of my older brothers know how to play a lot of instruments, and then my younger brother too is actually probably the best singer out of the four of us. And I got my oldest brother is in a band as well, and he's the lead singer too. So I got musical talent. I unfortunately did not get that musical talent, but I did get like the showmanship, I think, as
yeah,
well.
like I said, that's half the battle because that's what I do too. It's all about the showmanship and just being crazy. That's why I always sing "The Bad Touch" by the Bloodhound Gang.
Oh my God. Oh man, I haven't thought about that song in a while. I may have to hit on Spotify after this podcast and hit it up, man, and kind of listen to it again.
Well, especially now that you've like gone all in and are posting your karaoke abilities to Twitter, I feel like maybe next time I belt that out, I'll have to do it and get it recorded as well,
Or
just so that
maybe
our
next time,
fans can enjoy
I'll come with karaoke with you, and you know what, we'll do a duet. So we'll
it.
do a duet or something like that.
I
We'll do.
yeah, I don't know that the world can handle both of us on the same song, but we'll see.
I don't know. Maybe you and I sing NSYNC or Backstreet Boys or something like
Oh
that.
god,
We
yeah.
do the dance moves or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Your fiance would
choreography.
love it, but I don't know. I don't know about the world.
Yeah, choreography is not my specialty either. So
Yeah, that could be the case as well. I mean, I'm all for it as well as,
absolutely.
if people want to see me sing a song, at karaoke, drop it a comment below. So, and I would sing it too. It's got to be a song I know, folks, too. It's like, it can't
Right.
be like some ridiculous song. I'm like, I've never heard of this song. I'm not going to sing it.
Well, I'm also not going to butcher a classic. Like, I mean, I feel like I have to sing something ridiculous because I'm not a good singer. So I'm not going to go up there and like, I remember I was at a karaoke bar once and this girl just absolutely just butchered Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. And it was like, it was so bad. Like Freddie Mercury is rolling over in his grave bad. And I mean, I do not want to make Freddie Mercury roll over in his grave.
No, you don't want that to happen. I think if you're going to go ridiculous, I think you may have to go like "Don't Stop Me Now" with that type of. If you're going for like a Queen song, yeah, go like "Don't Stop Me Now" or something like that, or another one, "Bites the Dust." I feel like that you got to go with that way. You can't go Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody or Killer Queen or something like that.
Like I said, that's my go-to is definitely Bad Touch by the Bloodhound Gang. And that's where my pocket it usually stays. So.
Yeah, it does feel that way, and I just enjoy it in general. It's always fun for
Oh,
me, and I love doing karaoke, and it's just fun. You're there to have a good time. Listen, you're not going to be a star. You're not going to be on American Idol. Go and have a good time, people. Sing, have a good time. It gets your nerves out. It gets the jitters out, and you just feel like, wow, what a great thing. And you wonder why people really enjoy like being like a rock star or something like that, or a singing pop star.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot of fun. And be sure to drop your go-to karaoke song in the comments below.
Yes, and yeah, we could be singing it, and that could be our thing as well. We do podcasts and karaoke requests.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like I said, we want to hear what your karaoke go-to songs are as well.
Yes, absolutely, and it's a blast. I loved it, and it was great. I mean, really, I probably was buzzed or drunk half of the time too
Yeah,
while down there, and yeah. But I do have a gripe, though. I mean, I really hate the Eastern time zone, especially for sports or something like that. Especially for people, especially for fans of like, of especially like a Colorado team as well. I mean, it was basically hell watching some of those games. Really, at 10 o'clock at night, it was not fun at all.
well, and you should have been day drinking less. No, I'm kidding. I mean, obviously, I know I've always like kind of worried about being in the Eastern time zone for sporting events because you really do miss out on a lot of things like Pac-12 football, especially during the college football season. Like, there's a lot of opportunities that I feel like those East Coast fans don't really get to see that go on throughout the year.
Yeah, you don't get to see really the Pac-12 after dark, where it's just really just a crazy loopy and game, and you could get some crazy games as well. And yeah, it's always I feel bad for the Eastern people, and yeah, there is like an Eastern bias, because really they're probably asleep when the Pac-12 is on as well. And I know the Pac-12 is trying to change that as well with these really early morning kickoffs, so like these 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, kickoffs, so they can maybe get some more recognition for these Eastern teams as well.
But then that sucks for the home fans though, because then you're missing out on the tailgate time, and you don't want to be missing out on that.
Yeah, come on. It's a tailgate brunch. Sometimes you got to reinvent the wheel a little bit as well. I mean, come on, a tailgate brunch. You can have little eggs Benny. Maybe an Irish coffee beforehand. Or something like that. I think that should be the thing. Come on, you got to reinvent the wheel, people. You can't be just like, oh, okay. Or you know what? There's mimosas, okay? Have an omelet bar, or something like that. You make eggs or pancakes, instead of, hamburgers or hot dogs, you maybe make bacon or sausage. You just got to reinvent the wheel a little bit.
You do. And honestly, I think for me, what I would do is I would just start maybe going at 10 o'clock at night and then just rage into the game.
Yeah, that could be it as well, or something
Start
like that.
tailgating
Yeah.
at midnight.
Or it's one of these things, you go and you enjoy the game, and then you have the tailgate after. It's an after tailgate party.
Oh, no, you can't have an after tailgate.
Oh, come on. It's the after tailgate party. Seriously. Okay. So it's like the game ends, the game's going to end at like 1 p.m. Okay. So it's just, you have the entire rest of the day or something like that. So I feel like you should have that, the games will end at like 1 p.m., 2 p.m. So you're going to have the entire rest of the day. Why not do an after tailgate party?
Because
especially too if your team wins.
Because you don't want the after tailgate. Because then, like, what if you're like Washington State or Cal and you get blown out by 52-10 or something by Oregon, and then okay, that tailgate's gonna stink. You don't want an after tailgate. I'm not an after. I don't think the after tailgate's good. I'm okay with going to the bars after, but you don't want an after tailgate after you get just drubbed, and that's the risk you run with the after tailgate.
Yeah, that is the risk you run as well. But yeah, you can always go to the bar afterwards. I mean, really, again, games will get done around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. So
Right.
yeah, you have
can't
the
miss out
entire
on
rest of the day to get drunk.
But you can't miss out on the tailgating legacy. Like tailgating is such an important part, especially of college football, I would say. Like I feel like you can't miss out on the tailgate.
I guess
That's why you
yeah,
got to start it at midnight the night before.
or that or you
Actually,
do a
no,
really
what
early
do is, like,
tailgate.
the
You know
bars
what?
close at 2. The bars close at 2. You go into the tailgate, and then you're either just really drunk or passed out by game time. And
Yeah,
then
that
once
would really
1
give you a home
o'clock,
field
and
advantage.
that once 1 o'clock hits, the game's over. Then you just go home and pass out, or go to your hotel room and pass out. And then you wake up to see Mountain West after dark.
yeah, we get to watch Hawaii against Nevada.
Exactly. The really exciting Colorado State Boise State game.
Yeah, those or BYU against some team or
Wyoming.
something like that. Or you get those those Pac-12 after dark. So it's like Arizona State against Washington State, or
Right.
Washington against some other team. Washington against Cal or something like that.
Right. Exactly.
Or Washington State, because they always seem to play those Pac-12 after dark games. Like Washington State, like
Right,
I've never seen
exactly.
Palouse in the daytime really as an adult, because Washington State always seems to play at 8:30 at night.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I'm all in favor. Actually, again, hey, tailgate brunch. Sometimes it's good. Have mimosas. You can have mimosas or an Irish coffee or something like that. You could have
Screwdrivers.
Yeah.
Breakfast stouts. There's the breakfast stout beers.
Breakfast stouts or a
now.
Bloody Mary or something like that. Like there's different drink options, people. Instead of like beer, you can do something different.
I'm still not a fan of the 9 a.m. tailgate, but there is or 9 a.m. kickoff, especially on the West Coast. But there's ways to make the most of it.
Oh yeah, there definitely is ways to make the most of it, and sometimes you just gotta suck it up, because really, I mean, it doesn't sound like the Pac-12 is going to have like that many games or something like that, or it doesn't look that way as well. I guess I really need to check the schedule, but it really doesn't look like it's probably going to be a once a year type of thing where you play at like 9 a.m. or 10.
It's like
10
the London game in NFL. Like you may play one 9 a.m. game throughout the whole season.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes you got to suck it up and do a different type of tailgate.
Absolutely. Now let's move on. Obviously, lots of playoff stuff going on. Let's talk a little bit about it. Obviously, NHL playoffs in full swing. We already have half of the field set for the conference finals, with the Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens advancing. And I was ready to call this happening, at least for Montreal. Like you knew that the Toronto Maple Leafs would find a way to choke this thing.
I was shocked about that. That's probably, I really shouldn't be shocked because of the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs. As far as the past 50 years, they've had this terrible playoff heartbreak. And really, I mean, here's the funny part too. They haven't won a playoff series since the 05, since 04. And you know what happened after 04? We had an entire non-season of the NHL playoffs or something like that. Like really, I mean, just bad stuff seems to happen with the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. And yeah, it's just really bad. And especially for a passionate fan base like that, really, I mean, it's becoming probably the most depressing sports franchise right now.
There's got to be more depressing sports franchises, but nevertheless, I saw a meme or something on Twitter that was the Atlanta Thrashers have been to the second round as many times since 04 as the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I know it's so bad, and the Atlanta Thrashers haven't been a team in 10 years. I mean, it's crazy to think about that. I mean, it's a very, very bad team. It's just a bunch of bad luck.
It's a
really
great team that can't do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah. I guess I should walk back a little bit. Yeah, it's a good team that really should have been probably in this, third round competing against either Vegas or Colorado right now. But instead, they're at home, kind of thinking about what in the world do they do next as well. And the fact that they're really probably going to be cap struck the next couple of years, it's really going to be probably a dark period right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. I mean, I feel like this year was probably their window to at least try to do something in the playoffs, and they fell over and flat on their face again and choking away a 3-1 lead.
I mean, on paper, this team is just stacked. You got Tavares, you got Joe Thornton, Jason Spezza. I mean, all these guys with postseason experience. Plus, you got some of those young guns with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Like, I mean,
And
on
William
paper,
Nylander too. Like he's a really
yeah.
good player as well. I mean, this is a really stacked team,
Mm.
and really they were the best team in the Canadian division, and probably could have done something, but they they just couldn't find a way to win one more game.
Right. And like I said, I was up in Blackhawk, and now obviously in Blackhawk, Colorado, there's sportsbook betting. And I should have just bet the whole farm on the Toronto Maple Leafs losing to the Canadians that day.
You should have. Yeah. You should have, because really, I mean, Canadians really looked dominant in games 2, 3, and 4. And it felt like one of those, like, oh, maybe they'll actually win it this time. Really. And then, nope, it didn't happen.
Nope, the Maple Leafs choke. The Lightning looking good again, looking like a good chance to repeat. I think that they will advance over whoever wins between Boston or the Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, we could get we could get another rematch of last year between, the Islanders and the Lightning. So we'll get that again. And that was a fun series last year as well in the bubble. And yeah, I mean, it's a very fascinating series. And yeah, the Lightning look like a team that's destined to kind of repeat right now. And Vasilevsky is playing really well right now. Like he had a couple of shaky starts against Florida, but really, I mean, he was really good in that Hurricane series, and the Hurricanes are a really good team.
They really are. And like I said, they didn't give the Lightning much of a fight. And I mean, they were able to kind of contain them during the regular season, but they have not been able to do that thus far. I mean, no one's been able to contain the Lightning right now in the playoffs because they kind of marched through Florida as well.
Yeah, they marched through Florida. They marched through Carolina. They've probably been the most impressive team so far in these playoffs right now. And yeah, it's probably Lightning one, and then probably Canadians too. The Canadians have probably been probably the second most impressive team so far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Avalanche were right there in that conversation until the last 3 games happened, and now it looks like they might be on their way out.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating game last night. We're recording this, after Game 5. Game 6 hasn't happened, so yeah, it's just who knows what will happen in Game 6. It's just a very, very, very frustrating thing, and I was thinking about this last night. It just feels like it's just with this Avs team, it's just really, I mean, going back with I don't know if I mentioned this here on the podcast, but I feel like if the Avalanche are kind of like you're dating that girl. And yeah, you're dating that girl and you think that girl is like perfect. And you're like, oh my God, like, why isn't this person married? And then when you really start getting to know her, you're like, oh, this is why, this person isn't married and, doesn't have a family at this point. And you see a lot of baggage that this team has. And yeah, it was a very frustrating game. And yeah, Vegas really, it was very frustrating last night because really the Avs dominated most of that game. And then really, I mean, it was a case of the Avs losing it rather than Vegas winning it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the Avs got away with one in Game 2, and then obviously last night Vegas gets away with one. And I mean, especially in the 2 games in Vegas, like the Avalanche did not look like they even belonged on the same sheet of ice as the Lightning, or I mean, the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights really looked more physical. They looked more hungry. They looked like the team that was the more dominant team. And so I don't know what the heck's going on with these Avalanche, but Bednar has got to get it figured out and got to get this team ready to play for Game 6.
Yeah, they got to get this. This is literally a do or die game right now. I mean, hopefully they come out on top and they come out firing, and then maybe get rid of some of these mistakes right now. But I mean, if they keep doing these same mistakes, I mean, this game's going to get done, and this series is going to be done in 6 right now, and they're going to leave with a lot more questions than answers with this team so far. So it's very, very frustrating because I felt like this year was a lot different compared to years of previous past. But really, I mean, it just feels like the same old, same old.
It does. And I mean, obviously, I mean, I was excited when the Golden Knights advanced just because of the Avalanche's snake bitten history against Minnesota in the playoffs. So, I mean, once again, I was excited when Vegas advanced. I was excited after game one when the Avalanche just drubbed them. But after that game, Vegas adjusted. And it doesn't feel like even until last night, the Avalanche adjusted. Like the Avalanche didn't adjust after game two. They didn't adjust after game three. They didn't adjust after game four. They finally make some adjustment in game five. But at that point, like you said, they choke it away in the third. And now they're on the ropes. And I mean, this is such a good team that could be getting an early exit.
Yeah, and it really is a shame because this in normal times this would have been a Western Conference Finals matchup rather than a second round matchup. It is like a shame, but yeah, this really has been a really, I mean, this really hasn't been like a well played series like we've kind of predicted. Really, except for maybe games 2 and games 5. I mean, really, except for games
Vegas
2 and
has
games.
played good.
Yeah, I mean, really, it really feels like Vegas has really dominated most of this series.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas has played good in games 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
And the Avalanche played really, really good in game 1.
Yeah, they played really well in game 1, and then they played really well in game 5, and really, except for those couple of mistakes that really kind of bit them. I mean, really, that was really the frustrating part.
Honestly, what I would do if I'm the Avalanche is I would start aiming my shots, at least for the first period of the game, at the top of the glass. Because then, as opposed to someone just dipping down and blocking it with their leg, they're blocking it with their yap. Because Vegas is blocking so many shots in this series. Elevate the puck so that next time someone goes to block it, they catch one in the face.
There you go, Avs. Listen from Coach Sean Pooley right here. You gotta send out this recording tomorrow. Yeah, so they can kind of listen.
But after a period where they get a face full of puck, maybe they'll be a little bit more shy about getting in those shooting lanes.
Yeah, they could be as well. And yeah, I mean, it's been fun.
But you got to do something. They are blocking almost every shot.
Yeah, they're blocking almost every shot, and it's just like everything is, just so compact right now.
And those blocks are turning into breakaways.
Yeah, they have. I mean, especially last night with the game-winning goal. I mean, it was a couple of block shots that turned into a breakaway, and Vegas ends up winning the game. Really, I mean, it's just been a frustrating series because it's just, it feels like the same old with this Avs team. Like it's just a ton of baggage right now, and it's just
And it feels like the defensemen have been playing very flat-footed, and that's why these breakaways keep happening for Vegas.
Yeah, they have not been really, really speedy as well, and yeah, they got to fix something as well. If not, it's going to be over. It's going to be over tomorrow.
Absolutely. Now, NBA playoffs, Bushy. What have you been doing besides watching the NBA playoffs? Obviously, you were on vacation. What besides drunken karaoke, Bushy, have you been doing?
I actually have been I actually watched some of the Nuggets games. I watched Game 5 with the double overtime, and it really,
a hell of a game.
Yeah, it was a great game. So sometimes, and I did watch the first quarter of Game 6, and then I watched like the final 8-9 minutes of Game 6 as well. And yeah, we ended up actually watching it in the bar. That was during karaoke. And I think that's what helped too, because it was like literally right after the Nuggets had won the game that I came up and sang too. So I think I was just happy. It was like a drunk type of happy, because it's just like the Nuggets won. They didn't have to go to a Game 7. It was very refreshing as well. And yeah, and it's great. And you know what? Hey, the Nuggets finally have an MVP right now. Really, it's great. For the first time ever, we have an MVP, or an NBA MVP, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously great to see. Very well-deserved honor for the Joker. I'll let you know what I've been doing. I've been catching up. I've rewatched this show from late 2010. It was actually the late 2000s, called Harper's Island. It's like a murder mystery show that was aired on CBS. It was really cool. 13 episode series. Basically, this whole big family gets together on this island with a history of a serial killer being on the loose for a big wedding. And then each week, like more of the guests start getting killed off. And so you have to try and figure out who's doing it.
Oh man, that sounds okay. Okay, that sounds pretty
I've
interesting.
enjoyed catching up on it, and Andrea never watched it, so I've been enjoying that as opposed to the NBA playoffs. And another thing I want to say about the NBA playoffs, and I retweeted this on our show's Twitter account, is that on the NBA playoffs, when the Suns close out the Lakers before the last game of that series, on the Pat McAfee show, the question that Pat McAfee asked wasn't, is LeBron James going to allow the Suns to beat him? It's, are the refs going to allow the Suns to beat LeBron James? And it's kind of a sad commentary on our the state of sports at this point in our society, that it almost feels like pro wrestling, and that it feels like the refs have basically the say and the league has the say over who advances, and that they want obviously LeBron and these big name stars like LeBron or Tom Brady in the NFL to advance to the Super Bowl, as opposed to actually letting the players decide it on the field.
Right. Yeah. I think they really care about ratings a lot more than I think like the public seems to realize. I really do. I think, it's funny, it's like, you see like some tweets from people that they're like defending them, like, oh, ratings don't matter. I'm like, I think they kind of do. They kind of do matter a little bit. They want to get the most eyeballs in as well. And yeah, it's become a sad commentary. It's just like people just aren't enjoying the sport, just like the sport, to be like, okay, these are two really good teams going at it, instead of, and it's like, yeah, and it's like, oh, we got to get this guy in because he's the most marketable star as well. And you wonder why the NBA really kind of has sometimes about like a marketable stars problem. It's because, yeah, because you want these.
They've only marketed the same stars.
Yeah. They want these older people and all that. And it's just, yeah, but I'm really happy though with like the, hearing the, the MVP votes, and the fact that really Nikola Jokic really dominated the votes as well. So I was a little bit scared about that, because the media narrative a little bit was going to be like, was really kind of bashing Jokic in a way, but obviously, some of the voters disagreed on it. Like, he really was the best player in the NBA that this year, folks. Like, he really was. And watch him. He is a wonderful person to watch basketball. Like, watch his passing. Watch, he just makes everybody better. And really, I always love when he makes a full court pass. Really, I mean, it's funny. It's like we always joke that he's the best passer in the state of Colorado. It's not a joke. Like, really, he just throws these dimes that boom right into these guys is going in stride.
Absolutely, Jokic is beyond a great player. He is a well-deserving MVP. His passing is phenomenal. He's the best passing big man I've ever seen. And I mean, he's put together a fantastic season. Going back to my point though, Bushy, I want to go back and say, are pro sports rigged at this point? And that, I think, is the bigger question. And it feels like they are. Because if you go back and you look at it, in 2020, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, after they acquired Tom Brady, were the fourth least penalized team in football. Fourth least.
And it's a team too that was pretty penalized the year before as well.
They were dead last, and they were the most penalized team in the league in 2019.
Right, yeah.
So all of a sudden, Tom Brady's on this team, and now all of a sudden the holding calls stop. It's kind of BS, isn't it?
It is kind of BS. It really is. I just don't like it sometimes. Like, it's just really. I mean, it's just. You got to kind of stare and kind of think about it as well, and be like, oh yeah, and maybe sometimes you need a new blood rather than bring like a predecessor or something like that. Really, I mean, maybe it's time for Bettman and maybe Silver to kind of go. Even though David Silver is still, or not Adam Silver. Even though he's still kind of young. I mean, he was a David Stern disciple, so I feel like it's just the Stern era all over again, folks, and it's just really
Bettman,
not fun. It's not fun for a small mark. Yeah, Bettman
Silver,
as well.
Goodell's been awful. Goodell is trash. Yeah, like I said, I think it. I mean, obviously, I think Bettman's been bad, and I think, obviously, baseball. I've also been a little upset at baseball, in that. Like, I don't like the new extra innings rule. I don't like starting with a guy on second base. Like, I feel like they're doing everything they can to make the game faster. And baseball's been played the same way for 100 years plus. and now we're changing the game all of a sudden.
It it does make the game a little bit more exciting, especially with the extra innings with the guy on second. Like it really is. I've kind of enjoyed it as somebody who has watched several extra inning games this year. But I do like the 7-inning doubleheaders. They do make it a lot better. Even though sometimes, I know for sure they don't close down beer sales during that time, and obviously you see a lot of drunk people at the end of that at the end of those 7-inning games. And it's crazy right now. I mean, really it's a bad part of sport. I think really Twitter is kind of put a little in social media in a way too. It's just making it feel like, oh, this thing's rigged and this and that. And just a lot of people are like accusing it of rigging. So maybe you're kind of thinking about it a little bit more as well. And I feel like too, the calls are getting a little softer as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You just like see like people get thrown out. I'm like, really, that guy wouldn't have gotten thrown out 20 years ago. And it's like,
right. Absolutely.
25 years ago. And it's like, really, and this guy's getting thrown out because of it. Like sometimes I feel like we're getting a little bit softer as a whole as well.
Oh, 100% softer, 100%. If go back, and I think I've said this before on the show, but once again, go back and watch The Last Dance and look at the way that the Pistons were beating up Michael Jordan in the playoff series during the 80s. Like if LeBron James played one game against Dennis Rodman,
bad boys princes under those rules. Yeah.
Under those rules, not the rules now, because if they played under the rules now, the bad boys Pistons would be,
Bill Laimbeer would have been suspended for 20 games.
They would need a 20-person team just to get through the game. But if LeBron James played one game against Dennis Rodman's Pistons from the 80s under those rules, he would be like the Looney Tunes character. I don't know which one it is. You'll have to correct me. From Space Jam, that's on the iron lung at the end of the game.
Oh, so yeah, he's Tweety Bird. Yeah, the iron lung. Exactly. Or he's like Wile E. Coyote all bandaged up or something like that.
Right. He's basically bionic at that point. Because, I mean, it's such a soft game now. And LeBron's tougher than Anthony Davis. Oh, my toe hurts, Davis.
It really is, and I feel like it's I do believe in like karma or something like that. I do feel like it's a lot of karmic retribution for Anthony Davis, the way he flops and all that. I mean, it's so funny. It's just like some of these players too are looking to try to get a call rather than trying to get a basket now. Like it's just like just shoot the dang ball. Like just try to get a basket. You're trying to get a basket.
And one.
Yeah, like. I watching some of those games, it's just like you just see some people like leaning in, and really and it's just so frustrating too, because going back to Game 5 with that Nuggets Blazers series, and it's just like really like Austin Rivers literally does like he basically like caresses Lillard's arm, and they called a foul on that. Like he
doesn't even do that. He doesn't touch him.
But he caresses the arm a little bit. I mean, really,
I saw him in slow-mo. He doesn't touch him.
Yeah, I mean, if you could say that he barely touches him, he like barely touches him, and I say that in like air quotes. I mean, it's just like, and then he's like literally 3 feet away from that guy, and they still call a foul. I'm like, how do you call that? Like,
I don't know.
And I know, and we're supposed to have this review system where for calls like this, and they still call it a foul. How is that
ridiculous?
I know they called it a foul because he caressed his arm a little bit.
And they called it a foul because that's the call on the court. And that's the thing is we are so sensitive to the referees now that we have these replay systems in place, but the replay official, who's also an official, doesn't want to make his boys on the court look bad or on the field look bad, so they never overturn it. And
here's the point for a replay system: is to get the call right.
Exactly.
That's just why. You need to hire somebody outside instead of somebody who was a former official. You don't do that. You got to hire somebody who's outside, who has no biases or something like that, and be like, that's not a foul. What are you looking at? I mean, it's terrible.
It is. It's terrible, and that's why I'm watching the Harper's Island instead of the NBA playoffs.
I know. Yeah, I'll probably do the same thing, except for something else. Maybe not Harper's Island.
Just check it out. It's awesome. It's on Pluto TV. And going back to the NBA, if Anthony Davis played one series where he had to defend Shaquille O'Neal under 90s rules, Shaquille O'Neal would score 65 points and knock Anthony Davis's unibrow off his face.
Are we talking young Shaq or early 2000s Lakers Shaq?
Either Shaq.
Either
Shaq in his prime against Anthony Davis under 90s
I love
early
Shaq.
2000s rules. And Anthony Davis would quit basketball.
He was Shaq. The early 2000s Shaq was probably the most dominant basketball player I have ever seen. He was more dominant than Michael Jordan. Like that's how dominant he was. Like, and he was so big and so strong and so nimble with the ball. And I mean, he could probably palm the basket. I mean, he could probably crush the basketball with his bare hands.
Probably palm Anthony Davis and dunk him through the net.
He probably could have. Yeah. It's just like, if he tries to dunk, he just, I mean, seriously.
Anthony Davis would be laying there pretending to get a foul every time out, and it would be.
Oh, Shaq would have so much crap with that. Like, Shaq would just literally probably throw like a basketball right at his face. Yeah. Probably get a technical out.
Yeah, it's like I said, and that's why, like I said, I'm just not an NBA person anymore, because it's such a soft ass game now.
I think it's because of that. And then really, like, growing up, the Nuggets really sucked. Go back and watch the reason why the Nuggets really sucked. But I think those are the two reasons why it was just like, we're not big basketball guys. And really, and college basketball is not fun.
Guy.
I know you are, but it's like, I really am not really, except for like March Madness. Like, yeah, I'll pay attention to it. And it's just like, we're not big basketball games. Yeah. Yeah. We're just not like big basketball. We're just not big basketball guys, people. And those are our reasons why, I mean, really, if the Nuggets were really good, I think we probably would pay attention to basketball.
If the Nuggets were really good when we were growing up, because that's when you kind of cultivate your fandom. And obviously, no one wants to go watch Anthony Goldwire try to defend against John Stockton and Karl Malone.
Exactly, yeah. Or, Rick's, or Ray LaFrance go up against, Kevin Garnett or something like that.
Right, exactly. Because how that game's going.
And you wonder why the Nuggets went, 17 and 60-something.
65.
Yeah, 17-65 during 97-98. That was really a dark period, and hence why we probably care about, hockey too, because the Avs were going to Stanley Cup or Western Conference Finals every year, competing and for championships. And here the Nuggets basically in this vast wasteland.
And I'll watch a Nuggets game now every once in a while because they're good, but it's like I said, I never had that attachment to the NBA. And what little attachment I had is kind of lost because it's such a soft game now.
It is. It is. I know. Yeah, we're anti-NBA here. Even though, we tweeted that the Nuggets did really well.
Right. The Nuggets did really well. Congratulations to Nikola Jokic, the Joker, on a much-deserved MVP. He's almost intriguing enough for me to get back into watching the NBA.
He's a better 15 than the 15 that we had before. There we go. I said it, folks. He's better than Carmelo. He will always be better than Melo in my point. Even though some other pundits will say no, he is so much better than Melo. He will always be better than Melo in my opinion.
Well, here's why he is better than Melo. And the thing of it is, Melo is a better scorer. Absolutely. Melo will always, I think, be a better scorer than Nikola Jokic. But Nikola Jokic is a better all-around player than Melo. And Melo's never won an MVP.
Nope. Man,
hasn't done it.
Really, what hasn't been close either. Really? Right. Yeah, he hasn't been close either.
No, Melo is a very good scorer.
Hold on, I'm looking up
his highest ever.
Yeah, I'm looking up. I think 2000.
What would it be, like 2009, 2010? 2009.
Yeah. Well, it was LeBron. Yeah, he wasn't even in the top 10. Chauncey Billups got more MVP votes than Carmelo Anthony in 2009, folks.
Wow. What was his highest MVP finish ever?
It doesn't say. I'm going to probably the better years that he's done.
It looks like he finished third in 2012, 2013 when he was with the Knicks.
Yeah, again, because of the East Coast bias or something like that. Yeah, because the Knicks had a great year. I mean,
it was the one year the Knicks were good, and he was somehow ahead of CP3, obviously LeBron.
He got one first
It
place
was
vote compared to
120 first place votes, and some Knicks fan voted for Melo as the one other first place vote.
It's bad. Yeah, that's probably. I think the 2009 season was probably a little bit better, and I'm shocked that he didn't even get votes for that year. And Chauncey Billups got more votes than he did.
Yeah,
Chauncey Billups didn't even play for the Nuggets the entire year. He got traded. I know he got traded early on in the season, but still, I mean, he wasn't even part of the Nuggets that entire year, and he still got more first place votes than Carmelo.
To his credit, Melo did lead the Knicks to 54-28 that year, but I mean, he still probably should have been behind Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, it's very, very, yeah.
And then they advance to the conference semifinals and get ran out of there by the Pacers.
Exactly. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Maybe that'll be our deep dive. Let's look at these 2013 New York Knicks. You obviously have Melo.
Let's do it. I think
you reunite him with Marcus Camby.
Okay, yeah.
Tyson Chandler's around. Kenyon Martin, so they basically just imported the 09 Nuggets into this team because they have J.R.
because J.R. Smith's in it too, and
Rasheed Wallace is somehow on this team.
I don't remember ever him. Wow,
he may not have played, but he was on the team.
Yeah. That was the Jason Kidd the year
he played
before
21 games.
That was the Jason Kidd. That was the Jason Kidd. The one last great year from Jason Kidd.
Amari Stoudemire,
Raymond Felton.
This team, honestly, you look at this team, it probably should have finished better than it did. It had Jason Kidd. This team probably should have won it all instead of getting bounced out. You have Jason Kidd.
No,
obviously some of these guys are past their prime. You have Kidd,
Heat.
Camby, Kenyon Martin, Carmelo, Amari Stoudemire, Rasheed Wallace. That's kind of an all-star team. Tyson Chandler's decent.
It was a lot of good players that are on the twilight of their careers. Really, except for probably Melo, who's kind of sort of in his prime at that point. Really, I mean, it's just everybody else seems like they're at the end of the twilight of their careers. Really, I mean, yeah, you got to kind of think about that as well. They were pretty. It was the one great Knicks year that they kind of think about, and then they'll turn into complete crap, which could happen the next year as well for the Knicks. They have that one great year.
Let's look at this Pacers team that beat them. They have Paul George, and the rest of this team is pretty soft. Danny Granger, I guess, was all right.
Yeah, Danny Granger was pretty good. I think that was a few good years that they had a Roy Hibbert where actually having a really, basically a big stiff in the center actually still mattered. Right. This was at the twilight of that.
They had both Tyler and Ben Hansborough.
Tyler Hansborough, yay. Really, I mean, it's a team that probably should have made
4.1. Lance Stevenson, they had this team that was on paper the Knicks should have killed this team, I think.
Yeah, really, yeah. You kind of look back, it's one of those they really should have made it to the Eastern Conference. That really should have been their destiny, but no, they got smacked around by the Pacers.
Right.
that game. I mean, really, that was it's bad.
That Pacers team, it's not that good of a team. It's an okay team.
It's an okay team, yeah, but
it's not a great team.
Yeah, and you look at these rosters and you wonder why those Heat teams of the early 2010s were actually really good. It's because the Eastern Conference was really a vast wasteland.
I would have loved to have seen a series with that Melo Knicks team against LeBron, Bosh, and all that stacked team though.
It would have been a fun series, but yeah, the Heat would have won maybe in 5 or 6. Yeah. Yeah, they would have won in 5 or 6, but yeah, it would have been interesting. But yeah, how
did that Pacers team take the Heat to 7 games? Like that Frank Vogel somehow really got the most out of that team. Because that team's got like a bunch of okay players, like Paul George, maybe the only Hall of Famer on that roster. So how did they take the Heat to 7?
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, it gets it proves to the coaching. I always thought Frank Vogel was a really good coach, and
He was.
yeah, he is. I mean, yeah, he has proven it. And yeah,
he got Roy Hibbert somehow to take LeBron to 7 games.
Yeah, just like you have Lance Stevenson just being just kind of this quote unquote LeBron pest. I think that was the year, yeah, he kind of blew into the ear as well.
Even Danny Granger was decent, but that year he only played like 5 games.
Yeah, that was Paul George really starting to be, thought that this was going to be the next big star. But I mean, obviously, he is a star, but he's not the star that we kind of thought that we did. But
he was on. That was his breakout year.
Yeah, that was his breakout year. But isn't it funny? Yeah, we're trashing the NBA, but here we are. We're talking about the 2012-13 New York Knicks.
Right.
It goes to show you, welcome to our podcast. We don't plan this stuff, people, where it's just like, yeah, we're going to talk about Cabello in the 2012-13 Knicks. Unscripted, yeah. Yeah, it's a Knicks team, that really should have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals, but that was their destiny. Like the Heat were the best team that year.
I would have loved to have seen a conference finals between that team and the Heat team that ended up winning it.
Yeah, and it's coached now by new Indiana basketball head coach Mike Woodson. So we will see with him. Yeah, and see the dark void that is Indiana basketball now, post Bobby Knight.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or post Calvin Sampson, actually.
Also, former CU buff Chris Copeland on that 2013 or 2012-2013 Knicks team. And that was the last time the Knicks made it to the playoffs until this season.
Are you a Ronnie Brewer guy?
I like.
What about Steve? Brewer. What about Steve Novak? The great. He's always that great white hope.
Steve Novak, Earl Barron, like all these guys that were.
Iman Shumpert. I mean, he had some moments.
Shumpert.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to do way more than he did.
I did too, but yeah, he did not blossom into maybe at least a good role player, but he never really blossomed.
3-point champion Quentin Richardson. Yeah, I thought Iman Shumpert was going to develop into more than a role player, like you said, though he never did.
Yeah, and then you had like Kurt Thomas, who was kind of a quote unquote tough guy as well, and then you had the ultimate guy with who was in the 17th year. Man, it's crazy. Yeah, this was definitely a team. This was definitely a team. That had a bunch of players in the twilight of their careers that you're like, you look back and they're like, oh, wow, that's pretty good. But no, they were definitely in the twilight of their careers.
Hey, you had James Flight White on the Knicks that year too.
God, I don't remember
in between stays in Italy.
I don't remember Kenyon Martin ever being a Knick. I guess I kind of forget about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy to forget that they basically imported the Nuggets into that team. And then Kenyon Martin played 18 games that season, averaging 7.2 points per game. And then he just faded out after that.
Yeah,
injuries were always his problem. So
injuries were always his problem. And it was.
That was Marcus
it's an interesting team to look back at.
Marcus Camby, that was his last season too. He played 24 games that year and averaged 1.8 points per game that year.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have Chris Birdman Anderson on this team. I'm surprised.
Well, he was on the Heat. That's why I wanted to see.
Yeah,
that's why I wanted to see that.
Yeah, I mean, and then you have like the biggest like heat check guy in J.R. Smith as well.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the problem. The team was basically built for a heat check with J.R. Smith and Melo, just like the Nuggets were.
And then
they basically were built to just try to chuck it up.
Yeah, it's that's how bad the East was, folks. It really was. It really was a bad. The Western Conference was so much better.
I don't know. This team, like I said, on paper looks like a really good team. Like I said, I always thought Raymond Felton was underrated. He was a decent player.
Yeah,
Jason
he
Kidd.
was okay.
Jason Kidd's a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Is he? I don't know.
Yeah, Jason Kidd.
Maybe he's not in yet. He will be.
He
He's a
should be.
10-time All-Star.
He should
Like,
be.
what? Third all-time in assists?
Yeah.
Is he? No, I guess he isn't yet.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
He isn't yet. I think he will be.
Yeah.
He gotta be. Is he not? That's ridiculous. If he's not, he gotta be.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
He's in a seriously. He went to. Yeah, I know. He was really good. I mean, he was really a good player for those Nets teams in the early 2000s. Like,
Yeah, he made them relevant.
he did. He made those Nets teams relevant. It'd be funny to show probably Brooklyn Nets.
In any
fans.
event,
Yeah,
I mean, you look at it, and then you have. I mean, he's second all-time in assists. He's got to be in a Hall of Famer.
Oh, he's got to be. Yeah, he's got to be, and he played pretty long
He
enough.
is in the Hall of Fame. He was in
Could
the
you
Hall of
try
Fame.
again?
He is in the Hall of Fame.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Good.
still not sure about that.
And so I tripped my Siri.
Yeah, inducted in 2018.
Okay, so he's in. Yeah, which makes sense. He should be.
Good. Good. Whew.
I know. I can breathe a little easier. Now let's look back at that. I mean, obviously, you're saying the Western Conference was better that year, and I mean, they kind of were. I mean, you had the Spurs. That was a great team that won the West that year.
Yeah, that was a team. Yeah. Yeah, they were really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they had the big three with Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili.
Yeah, they had the big three. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that was like the Golden State like coming out party with with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. That was kind of their breaking out performance, really.
That's when they drafted Draymond Green that year too.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you had you had a really good. It was really.
You had Oklahoma City, who was really good that year too. Obviously with Durant and Westbrook. And Hasheem Thabeet and all these Serge Ibaka. I mean, you had once again, that was a legit team too.
It was a legit team, and
Kevin Martin was on that team too. Isn't he a former All-Star? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
He was close. I don't know.
Yeah, you had San Antonio basically kind of running roughshod. I mean, they beat a Lakers team. Really, I mean, that was they really were starting on their downfall. And then, they beat an upcoming Golden State team 4-2. And then they sweep Memphis, who was actually a really good team back in that time. Memphis had a really strong team even. And then
let's not forget the Nuggets were the third seed in that with Gallinari and Mozgov and Kenneth Faried.
Yeah.
Dale McGee, Ty Lawson.
Yeah, it was really good.
The Nuggets
really good
somehow
Nuggets
were
team.
The third seed in that year. You had the Clippers with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and I mean that team. DeAndre Jordan once again. That team was stacked. Chauncey Billups was somehow on the 2012-13 Clippers.
Yeah, it was a
deep West.
Yeah, it was definitely a deep West, and you could tell that was a lot better than the East.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I said, the third seeded Pacers, like I said, those were a bunch of role players. It sounds like. I guess the third seeded Nuggets kind of were too.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, that was.
But that's why the Warriors also bounced them right away.
Yeah. All right. I feel like that's enough basketball talk for us. I think we filled our quota for the month.
Yeah, we really did. That was our deep dive. You never know what we're gonna go in our deep dive on for the show.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, I was. Yeah, it basically turned into complaining, basically saying that I love Jokic a lot more than Melo. He's the better 15 out of the Nuggets. And it turns into this whole deep dive. Somehow we talking about the 2013 playoffs.
One more thing on that. I just have one more thing. Look at this Lakers team in that year. Kobe, Dwight Howard, Pau Gasol, Antoine Jameson, Steve Nash, Melo Ortiz. How did that team not win at all?
Well, Nash got hurt really early.
Okay, that might be it.
Yeah, man, It's one of those teams that looks good on paper, but they did not perform well. Let's put it that way. It was a team that looked really good on paper. You probably would play them a lot on 2K, but it was a team that did not mesh well in real life.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the case.
That was all I had on that. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about in this episode?
Well, bonehead base running, man.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we got to talk about it. Bonehead base running.
Oh my God. Well, bonehead in general, and let's start with the Pittsburgh Pirates, because this isn't bonehead base running. This is bonehead fielding. That play a couple weeks ago where they get in the rundown with Javier Baez between home and first. He tries to run him back to the plate. Step on the bag, dummy. It's 2 outs to step on the bag.
I know that's the worst part too. Like, it's just like, it's 2 outs. Just throw it to first, call it a good day. Okay, you get out of the inning unscathed. Instead, you turn into one of the most potentially, basically probably the worst play we will probably see all season. And if not, maybe this whole decade.
Is it the worst? I think it might be the worst play by a first baseman ever, or maybe just behind the Bill Buckner play.
I think this one is just bad because it's just disaster all around. And then they overthrow him too. I mean, it was just a bad all around play by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Will Craig, the player who commits this run down to first, like, how dumb are you? You've been playing baseball at least long enough to get to the big leagues. How the hell can you get caught in a run, try to run that guy down between first and home with 2 outs?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, it's just really sometimes it's just you keep doing stuff over and over again. That sometimes you just have a brain fart. And really, I mean, that was probably the ultimate of brain farts. And, I guess you just don't. I guess you really forget sometimes that it's just, oh yeah, that's right. There's 2 outs. Just throw it to first and tag the guy or touch the bag.
Like what?
Or also, I was that day old when I found out that you could run backwards. I thought you had to go to first, like you had to run. I didn't know that you could run backwards.
I didn't know you could either. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. That was the most thing. I was just like, that was the thing I got most out of that play. I was like, wait, you can run backwards? I thought you really had to run to first. Like it was like a must. Like instead, Javi Baez turned into a rock and jock softball game,
Yeah. Like how the hell does he do that? Like, how does he get trapped in this thing?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so bad. Like I couldn't believe
like I said, I mean, you have to ask, is it the worst play by a first baseman in the history of baseball?
I mean, it's got to be given the circuit. I mean,
right.
I mean, Buckner, yeah, like plenty of times, the ball has rolled,
right
under some guys, feet, or something like that. You see it all the time in baseball. But the fact that really, I mean, just how dumb it was that the guy picks up the base, with 2 outs nonetheless, tag the base, instead he freaks out. He sees the guy running back to home, like. I mean, it's just so bad. Like,
and it turns out that player Will Craig was actually just now, as we record this podcast, he was just sent back down to AAA.
It's just a shame. It's just a shame. Yeah, it's probably one of those he's never going to live it down now moments.
Right. I mean, he's a rookie, but he may never live this down.
He may never live this down now. Yeah, and it's just bad. I mean, this Pirates team is very, very bad, folks. It's probably going to be the worst team in baseball.
It might be by the end of the season. The Diamondbacks and Tigers obviously fighting them for that. The Rockies, if they play their games away from home, are maybe the worst team in baseball.
Yeah, Baltimore's pretty bad too. But Baltimore's pretty bad too. So they're going to. I mean, Minnesota is having a downfall.
Minnesota really is.
I did not expect that. Texas is really taking a downfall as well. I mean, they had like a really crazy road losing streak as well. I mean, as well, and they've kind of taken a downturn as well. So I mean, it's pretty bad right now for these bad teams.
It really is. And I mean, we talk about the Pirates being bad. Obviously, last night they have Brian Hayes, who also hits a home run and then doesn't step on first base. Like, what is it with the first base and the Pirates?
Okay, I will defend that because he was actually kind of watching it to see if he had to run or not. You know, you seen the kind of that line drive. You don't really know if he kind of hit it over, especially that right field scoreboard at PNC Park. You know, you really got to hit the ball to get it over that to hit a home run there. And yeah, it's just I think he was kind of watching and he just kind of messed up and didn't touch the base. So I think it's just one of those. It was one of those things where he was kind of paying attention more to the play rather than, he was looking, it's like one of those receivers who who drops the ball. And it's just one of those textbooks, like he's looking right here instead of looking at the ball, trying to catch it.
Right.
But I think the worst thing too is by the guy, Bobby Witt Jr. and literally happened to last night. He hits a home run. He's walking. He hits a home run, folks, and it's a no doubter, folks. Like it's left center. It's a no doubter. It's basically on the concourse, and he's running. He doesn't touch home. How do you not touch home? And the worst part is too, he goes back and checks it out too. He wasn't kind of sure. He's like, oh, did I touch? Like he kind of takes a look back. I'm like, yeah, I think I touched, and I think that's worse.
I don't know. I think obviously Bobby Witt Jr. is the son of a former Major League Baseball player, so he should obviously have been around the game long enough to know better. Obviously, the Pirates. I mean, I've never been to PNC Park, so I don't know what the field dynamics are like there. But once again, if you hit a home run, the one thing you got to do is touch the base. Touch the base, and I think obviously people would be more forgiving of you not running out a double and taking it as a single than they would you hitting a home run and not touching first base.
2021 has been weird.
Watch it go over.
2021 has been a weird thing where I've seen like weird stuff that I haven't seen before. Where I've seen a home run that got turned into that opening day between the Rockies and Dodgers, where Turner passes Bellinger as well. And, Turner gets called out, because he passed him. And it's just, and then now this with like base running gas where people forget to touch bases. I mean, it's just been a weird year for base running.
It's the COVID brain, man. I'm telling you,
everybody's got the COVID brain. Yeah. It could be that vaccine. Yeah. It just makes you, forget how to touch the bases, folks, maybe we should be kind of looking in now for that.
Wow.
It is bad.
Yeah. I mean, once again, the rundown between first and home has to be the worst though. It has to.
I believe it's the home run. Like he forgets the touch and he kind of looks back, like he kind of second guesses himself in a way. Yeah. If you're going to check, if you're not making sure, you can go back and touch the base. You can do that, right? Like you could go back and kind of touch the base and be
can you after you touch home?
What?
Or can you after you pass home?
I think so. Yeah. If you haven't technically touched home yet, you can go back and touch home.
I mean, like I said, it's just amazing right now, the stuff that's going on. And like I said, I would doubt that we're ever going to see this Will Craig back in the big leagues after that rundown between first and home.
I think he will. He'll probably be like a September call up. And I think he'll be a September call up. But I mean, it's one of these things that he's never going to live down now. Like everybody's going to be talking about it and be like, yeah, he was the guy that kind of messed up on that play.
He might hit 500 home runs and he may still never get.
I mean, seriously, it's like Bill Buckner. I mean, Bill Buckner had a really good career, but he will always be remembered for that, for the ball going through his legs in the '86 World Series. Like it really is like a shame.
It is. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It's same with like Ernest Biner too. I mean, it's part of the Ernest Biner syndrome too. Like he was a really, really good running back. I mean, he finished his career, like, when he retired, he was 10th in rushing yards at the time as well, but he will always be remembered of the fumble in '87 against the Broncos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just some players get remembered for something stupid, and it's just a shame.
Or Raheem Moore. Raheem Moore will always be remembered for getting burnt on that Joe Flacco Hail Mary.
Yeah, I remember.
I know. I don't want to bring it up, but He's in that.
I feel like
group too.
I feel like
He's in the
Willard
group
now in
too.
Arrested Development. It's like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yeah, it's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm awkward moment bringing it up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. It's like I try to forget that game. It's
I
you
do
know,
too, but
it's one of these games I never want to see again. I never want to see a highlight. I remember
right.
when the Broncos like got Joe Flacco, that was like one of the first things he's like back at Mile High, and they're showing that play, and I'm like, I want to forget this play for the rest of time. Like,
Well, that's why it was such a dumb move bringing Joe Flacco in, because that's all Broncos fans remember Joe Flacco for.
yeah,
Broncos fans hate Joe Flacco, so putting him in a Broncos jersey, unless like he turns into Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, we still hate him.
yeah, we still I
He's got to win
despise Bruin for him.
right.
I really
He's
do.
got to
It was
win 2 Super Bowls to make up for the one he took away from me.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. We should have won the Super Bowl that year. We really did. That was the best of the Peyton Manning teams, folks. Yes.
It really was.
It really was. All right.
Is there anyone else in the Blunder All Stars that's always gonna be remembered for something really dumb?
I'm sure there are folks. Yeah, if you want to, please leave a comment down below. You know, of all-time blunders as well. There's I don't remember the guy, but there's this guy gets Edmonton. He accidentally scores into his own net and causes to Edmonton to lose the series on that play.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Look that up.
yeah, that's a blunder as well. Yeah, I bet there were several. There has to be several other blunders.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
Yeah,
Or
and please leave a comment below.
Yeah,
along with your karaoke songs.
and your karaoke songs, absolutely. We will get that video of Bushy doing his karaoke from North Carolina up on Twitter and YouTube, as well as this episode, and then hopefully in a few weeks we'll like do a karaoke challenge, maybe, or even like I'll get my Bad Touch by the Bloodhound Gang up. We'll see what happens.
I'm all for it. Bring it on. Yeah. And then we'll vote who was the better performer.
Right. I'd love to see that.
Yes.
And once again, we also want to thank Trevor Murray for being our first guest last week. He helped fill in for me as I had to do some house repairs. And by me doing house repairs, I mean I had to meet the guy who was going to do the house repairs.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I actually love the camera filter you have now on your computer. It looks like you're filming like a 90s,
90s porno.
Yeah. I feel what?
A 90s porno.
Yeah, it does. It does seem like that. Yeah. It's based on like the tone, the lighting, kind of the atmosphere. It looks like you're filming like a 90s porno.
If only.
If only. Yeah. Oh, that'd be, no.
Exactly. We're not going.
We try to keep it a little bit family, folks.
We will.
Family friendly.
Well, I'll mark the no, it's not made for kids on this video for sure.
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, we thank you again for watching this episode of the SP and Bushy Show. We hope you'll go back and check out all of our other episodes. Be sure to like us at SP Bushy on Twitter. And once again, we thank you for watching and have a great night.
Thank you. Peace.